Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, I can promise you, you're happy to be joining us right now. So for anybody who's not only just been a Saints fan, for not only anybody who's been an NFL fan, it's nice to meet people who have made a huge difference for communities, for cities, for the nation, and just the thing that they did and what they loved. Very excited to welcome to the program Garrett Hartley. Garrett, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. Down here in South Louisiana, and let the festivities kind of start to roll from here.
I know that's right, and boy, they do, because the Krewe of Hercules kicks off our Mardi Gras season. Nothing happens before that. But now you get to be the Grand Marshal of the Krewe of Hercules, which is really cool. But I want people to kind of get to know you a little bit. We know you as a Super Bowl winning NFL kicker. That's what people know of Garrett Hartley. But I want to find out a little bit about Garrett growing up. Find out a little bit about Garrett when you first started kicking and realized that you were pretty good. Let's talk a little bit about growing up.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Right.
Grew up in Southlake, and my mom would never let me play football growing up. I always played soccer and baseball. She didn't want me to get hurt.
Right.
And from that, I think maybe freshman year in high school, we go out, and I was a starting running back on the freshman football team, and I was also starting on varsity soccer. And my dad didn't want me to get hurt playing freshman football for varsity soccer.
Right, I got you. That makes sense.
So he said I could just kick. I'm like, Dad, everybody's going to make fun of me.
Okay.
And so I go out there, 13, 14 years old, and hitting 55, 60-yard field goals. And, they kind of did a double take and said, hey, you might need to potentially pursue this, right?
Right. So did you find that soccer helped in the formation of you trying to becoming a kicker?
Oh, without a doubt.
Right?
It gave me, the natural raw ability. And then from that, obviously, things had to be kind of fine-tuned for the most part. But, from the natural raw ability, we were able to go out there and, just swing away.
Wow. Tell me the first time you kicked one that long and people's eyebrows going up.
So when I first moved for South Lake, my best friend still to this day with Kirk, he was trying to, show his dad really how far I could kick. And so, they brought out everybody, all the varsity guy, all the football players to watch, this 14-year-old kick and swing a football. And the first one he lined up, and we're on grass, no cleats, nothing.
Right.
It's just like old school, like teed up.
It's just street ball.
And go out there to swing, and I planted so hard I fell straight on my back. And they're all like, wow.
Little Charlie Brown kick here, right?
Correct. So they're like, great, this is going to be our kicker coming up. And so we finally got, hey, take two.
Right.
Here we go. And I think I put it over the house from that. And the guys kind of looked and said, yeah, this maybe, we'll let him on.
Right. This guy's got a chance. So goes from soccer, varsity soccer, and then football. So you get on the team playing in South Lake, right?
Right.
And so tell me a little bit about your first kick, maybe. You remember your first kick? Extra point, I'm assuming?
Yeah, so sophomore year kind of came on. You started varsity as a sophomore kicking, and I don't remember the first kick in high school per se. I remember the atmosphere.
Oh, nice.
Especially in Texas, Friday Night Lights. I mean, obviously, I think there's maybe one or two movies or books or something around the same.
Yeah. They're covering Friday Night Lights, right?
Right. So we had the opportunity, and just looking up, and at South Lake in Texas football, if people aren't familiar, we have 25, 30,000 people in the stands.
Yeah, this is not like your average Friday night game where you may see 1,000 or 2,000 people. My nephew played in Frisco.
Okay.
And so they play in professional, semi-professional stadiums.
Correct.
A lot of times. And like you said, 25, 30,000 people. And you're looking around going, holy cow. And of course you nailed it.
I think so.
Yeah,
but
the research says you did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sure you probably have those notes that I don't in front of me.
Right.
It was that moment to where I think every sport I ever grew up playing. So baseball, I was a pitcher, catcher, third base. Soccer, I played keeper.
Okay.
And then
wow.
So kicking, obviously, I felt like from an early age I was groomed to endure these type of pressure moments. And it almost fueled me to want to be able to, perform better, on that aspect, and from that, get out there and just be competitive.
Wow. And then moving forward through high school and then graduate, you just kind of realized probably during that time as you got stronger, as you got a little older,
Yeah.
that this was something you could pursue.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of my junior year, I was actually offered a couple of full rides, and then ended up choosing Oklahoma. And for a kicker at that time, to commit a year early was kind of unheard of.
Yep.
And we had the opportunity. I went up there. I kicked in front of Coach Stoops, and before I know it, here we are, and heading to Oklahoma.
I know that's right. And so really, really interesting. I love the fact that you can kind of look back and see that progression and just what it was like. And it's so very interesting. So many parents are concerned, man, I don't want him to get hurt. And so it was interesting that fear kind of developed into a plan that kind of made itself for what the possibility could be. And then, again, like I mentioned at the beginning, becoming a Super Bowl winning place kicker in the NFL, going through the route of Texas to Oklahoma. Tell us what it was like making that decision to go to Oklahoma.
Right. So I think I was getting recruited at the time from a lot of in-state schools and maybe a couple out-of-state, things. But I wanted to try to maybe stay in the Big 12. I want to be, far enough away from home, but still able to come back to home. And Oklahoma had a camp actually on the same weekend as University of Texas.
Okay.
I would imagine it's funny how they do that.
It's how interesting that UT and OU got at the same time,
right?
Right,
to see which one's going to go where. And
Right.
I ended up going to Oklahoma. I was the only kicker there, so I ended up kicking, in their indoor facility, kind of by myself with one of the coaches, and he kind of had me hang on for a second, type of thing. And within probably 15 or 20 minutes, I had Coach Stoops and Uwe von Schaman.
Okay, wow.
Behind me, watching me kick off the ground. And keep in mind, I wasn't used to kicking off the ground in high school. I kicked off the little block thing.
Right.
And so we're kicking off the ground, and I think it was, I just picked one of those days. I don't think I could miss. And we're going back to like 56, 58, 62. And then I started doing my sideline drills in front of them, where we start on the 20 on the sideline and work my way in, so the angle gets smaller and smaller.
Right.
And I think we got all the way down to about 3 yards off the end line itself.
You were kicking from 3 yards off.
Correct. So inside the end zone, about three yards, and being able to split the pipes from there.
Holy cow.
So
Look, kicking field goals is hard enough, but being able to work that angle, that's amazing.
And well, it just it prepares you for game day when you're looking at that. Now we're the whole concept: aim small, miss small. Kind of comes into play.
It's the mentality.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
All right. So the decision to go to OU, and talk about signing day. Was that cool?
It really was. We had the and kind of come in. Obviously, things have changed now and how they do it now. Everything's bigger, but but back then, and it was a T-shirt, and my parents are standing behind me, and taking it and knowing that we're going there. I think I had about maybe 4 or 5 classmates that were signing D1 scholarships at the time. Yeah, not
really nice.
Not a bad turnout.
No, not at all. Man. It's awesome.
And I think one was Air Force, one was University of Texas. I kind of forget some of the others, but we had a lot of great players at Southlake, including, Chase Daniels and of that nature. So, signing days out. Here we are getting done, and then you get the pamphlet from the strength coaches of what college football is.
Well, welcome to college football, right? Welcome to the Big 12.
Yes, this rude awakening of looking at the type of workouts that we are going to do. And I'm like, even kickers?
Wait. Kickers have to go to this too?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 5:45 came early. So they give you the stuff to prepare and to get in shape. And back then I was actually in pretty good shape. I think, maybe less than 8% body fat. And, so actually, being in real shape, like, from soccer and football combined.
Sure.
And so I felt from the running aspect I was good, but the weights, I've never lifted that heavy in my life.
Right.
And so we had that was definitely, I think the first day, I don't know how many guys tapped out of the workouts. and that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah, they're just testing your limits, right?
100%. And so if you think you were thick-skinned then, just wait until these guys, because this is their job. College strength coaches are supposed to turn, boys into men.
Yeah.
And over that time, and that's what they were able to do.
Wow. Well, so congratulations in passing the strength and conditioning.
Some days. I feel like for the most part, we did okay.
Yeah, and so in college, I knew our strength and conditioning coaches right here at Nichols. And so I knew him because, and I want to make you feel a little bit better. If you felt bad about being a kicker, it could have been different. I was a college cheerleader. So my son still teases me to this day. However, I got to tell you, we got to hang out with a different group of people.
Right.
The people I was hanging out with, they were pretty cool.
Look, I think you played your role pretty well then.
I'd like to think so. But one of those things, got to meet those guys. They were so intense.
Yes.
They were all about, what did you do today? Did you get it done? We're going to see it again tomorrow.
Right.
And so just really, really intense. Finish up at OU. How many years were you at OU?
So it was actually kind of funny. They burned my red shirt with a half a game to go my freshman year. And if that would have been in today's standards, then I would have had a whole nother year of eligibility.
Yeah.
So I pretty much have 3 years in college I actually kicked.
Right.
And then so 04 to 07.
Right.
And then coming out rookie year to the NFL. So junior year we finish up, have a great season. We came in at, I was up for the Lou Groza.
Right.
I think 19 of 20, and the only miss I had that year was blocked. So senior year, I think we didn't get as many chances.
Right.
13 of 15 maybe. So here
Those
I am.
are really great numbers.
Yeah,
still,
we're
by the
sitting
way.
at 32 of 35 my last 2 years in college coming out.
Wow.
And didn't actually get drafted.
Right.
For whatever reasons, and then ended up going to Denver.
Fortunately, you came to the Saints pretty quickly.
Yeah, so the time in Denver was kind of cut short. And things were going really well, and not being drafted, I think that was the first year they cut their roster back to 75, and had a really good, I guess, mini camp, in the 90 percentile. And I remember Coach Shanahan from Denver told me, "Hey, look ready to compete for the job." In preseason, one of the draftees, I think, tore his Achilles a couple days, and right before training camp, I ended up getting released, and so. I'm back home, going, back to Oklahoma to try to finish up my degree. And that's
A
about...
lot of respect, by the way.
Oh.
Thinking about that.
Yeah.
Your first thought, go finish your degree.
Oh, absolutely. That's something that my mom at the time was obviously preaching.
Right.
And then ended up getting a call from, my agent for a workout with the Saints halfway through the season. And go down there. Things ended up, they started okay in the workout. They didn't, halfway in, I made my first two, and then I pinged one off a post, and then I think I pulled another one. So here I am, sitting 2 of 4. I'm like, do I just need to go pack up my bags and head home, or do I need to prove to them there is a reason that I'm here right now?
Okay.
And I think for the next 6 or 7 kicks, we're pretty dialed in at that point, because these weren't just off the sticks. These were snap hold.
Oh, wow.
With guys I've never worked with, and so.
Which is a different dynamic. I mean, like,
It's
snappers, holders.
It's a game changer.
Right.
And so that we had the opportunity, Scott Player, I think, was actually holding for me with the handlebar mustache.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right.
And so he said, "Hey, kid." He's like, "Hey, young buck, you got this."
All
and
right.
so I kind of settled my nerves and got into a flow. And I think we get back to to 53 and drain that. And then we get back to 58. I think one of the other guys was missing it. He missed it short. And I told myself, if I make this, that they'll probably sign me. And I don't know if you've been into the Saints indoor facility. So when I hit the 58, it probably ended up about maybe 15 to 20 feet high up on the backboard in the facility. So
holy cow!
Probably would have been good from realistically 68 to 70 yards.
I'm about to say it had to be. That's at
It
least,
was one of the
17 or 18.
Right. It was
beyond
one of those things that you just peered.
Right.
And it doesn't happen all the time, but I picked a good opportunity for it to.
Right.
So we do that. Then they go back. They're talking about the numbers. They're asking, "Hey, by the way, welcome to the New Orleans Saints Football Club." And I'm like, "Oh my God, this is real. This is happening."
Wow.
So now let's fast forward just a little bit.
Okay.
To my first game.
Okay.
Here we go. It was actually in Atlanta versus Atlanta.
That's correct.
And my first kick, I remember, it was 29 yards on the right hash. ended up, putting it through, and then I'm feeling pretty good. This is still when we kicked off from the 30.
30, okay.
I think my first kickoff was a touchback, but after that one, Atlanta had this guy named Michael Turner. He was good.
He's really good and really fast. Yeah.
So I kick off, and from my perspective, and it looks like the Red Sea just opens up, and I'm one-on-one with this guy. And before I have the time to react or think, he didn't try to juke me or run around me. He tried to run over me. And he put his head down. He hit me so freaking hard. And by the grace of God, I ended up getting him down. And I go to stand up, and my whole left leg is numb.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm just like, oh, my gosh, what just happened? And it's like right before halftime, guys are like trying to give me a high five. And then other guys are like, hey, welcome to the league, man.
Right. I'm limping.
Yeah. And so ended up actually have to at halftime. I was still like, something wasn't right, and ended up getting a shot of Toradol at halftime from the doctors to finish the game, and that's how actually I met one of my best friends now. That's my chiropractor, because I hyperextended my L5 vertebrae.
In the hip.
In the hip, which is it's just a little shift, nothing more than that, not a problem.
Gotcha.
But boom, gets me back in place, and then I get to continue, my rookie year, and then here we are with the Super Bowl coming up in 2009. A little kind of fast forward to there.
Right. And so some great kicks that year. And so for the sake of time, take us to the moment when we are at that 30, how far?
Oh, the 40-yarder.
40-yarder. Sorry, I was going to say 39.
Yeah.
The 40-yarder against
Minnesota.
Yeah. The loudest, I will tell you, the loudest it's ever been in the dome.
Well, if you think about it, but the quietest too. Walking,
oh, gosh.
But before the kick. So,
okay, right.
And it was crazy. I was kind of pacing back and forth all a little bit. John Carney pulls me aside and says, look, this is going to come down to you.
Right.
Don't worry about anything else other than now and what you need to do to be successful. So he calms me down. Things are playing out that way. Then obviously the interception, and here we go. And walking up to the kick, feeling good, and Peyton kind of pulls me up. And I remember Carney was kind of clinching. He's like, oh, gosh. But he just said, hey, this is goes through his spiel. And at the time, I didn't remember really other than at the end of what he said, this is why, son, you deserve to be here. That's what I really heard until we go back and watch what he actually said. And it was that ball. And playing baseball ever, maybe, all right, so when you hit a home run, you barely feel it off your foot.
Right.
Same thing happened.
Barely
and the instant that ball came off my foot, I never watched it actually go between the uprights. I turned around to Mark Brunell, and I said, we're going to Miami.
I remember seeing it. And in closing, I watched you on the parade thereafter with the Super Bowl. I am going to tell you it's going to be similar to that as you get to be the Grand Marshal of the Krewe of Hercules here this weekend. And can't thank you enough for joining us and being with us today, Garrett.
I can't wait. Thank you.
Absolutely. Very cool. All right, guys, that'll do it for this special edition of Bayou Time. Don't go anywhere. A lot more local programming right here on HTV.